Good morning, students. I am Sudeshna ma'am. I am your psychology teacher from DPS Vasundhara. Today we will be studying chapter 2, Self and Personality. I hope you enjoyed the previous video, which is a recap of the trait theories that I had given you in the form of PPT and the following assignment to it. Now today we are going to study in depth about another school of thought, that is the psychodynamic theory. So the psychodynamic theory was primarily given by Freud. You must have heard this name, Freud. Yes, he is one of the very eminent names. His name is Sigmund Freud. He was born in Czech Republic and he has done a lot of work in the field of psychology. So let us understand what was he trying to explain. He was trying to understand that human beings are very in depth and their mind has lots and lots of abilities. But he also understood that there is something called unconscious mind, or the mind which is not very actively known to us. And he said whenever we have any kind of conflicts there, any kind of discomfort there, it will come out in our behavior because things are not settled at that level. So who was Freud working on? Freud was working with lots and lots of patients. He would make them sit on a couch and ask them, speak whatever comes to your mind. This technique is called the free association technique, where the patients could come and speak their heart out. See, when they could talk their heart out, they could actually speak anything and everything that comes to their mind and which is primarily bothering them. See, if I ask you, tell me what's going on in your mind. So first for 1 minute you will talk about things that are around you, about your friends, about your family. But after 2 minutes, after 5 minutes, what will you talk about? Yourself, your past, your feelings, your thoughts. So Freud was trying to make analysis of what people would talk about in sessions after sessions, and there he tried to make record of whatever the errors they were making continuously. What was that one word which was coming in and again in their conversation? And he would also ask them to go home and keep a pen and a pencil near their pillow, and whenever they would get a dream while sleeping, and the moment they wake up, just write down that dream. If they are able to write it down, he would later try to analyze what was it that was coming out from those dreams. So Freud, in order to understand Freud deeply, we have to understand there are 4 basic concepts that he has spoken about. Let us understand those basic 4 levels or 4 domains where he has spoken, and then we will analyze his work and do further discussion on it. So the 4 major domains that he has worked on is levels of consciousness, structure of personality, stages of personality development, and defense mechanism. Today we are going to do 2 aspects, that is levels of consciousness and structure of personality. Levels of consciousness. He said that all that emotional conflict is a consequence where we are not in balance with what is in our consciousness and what is there hidden in deep down our mind. So the 3 levels he spoke about is consciousness, that is all that I am aware of about myself. The pre-conscious, which is like not readily there in my mind, but if you ask me to think, I will remember it. For example, what did you eat in your breakfast yesterday? Now it is there in my mind, not in the conscious mind, but if you ask me, I can think and tell you. And the third level he spoke about was the unconscious. Now this mind people are not aware of. Now he says all our desires, motives, conflicts rise here. All the urges, primarily he spoke about sexual urges, those urges also stem from here. But since they are not socially acceptable ways, so we try to push them deep down our conscious level so that we are not in any kind of discomfort. So how do we take out things from our unconscious and yet be comfortable? That process is called psychoanalysis, or that is the technique of bringing the unconscious to conscious, yet feeling comfortable, self-aware, and remain integrated with my own self. Children, in the PPT you will see a picture which talks about conscious, preconscious and unconscious. Now the second aspect that Freud has spoken about, he calls it the structure of personality. He has used 3 terms in it: id, ego and superego. We will understand these 3 terms and we will understand how these 3 terms work. Now the first terminology that he is given is called the id. Now id is what he is calling is a storehouse of energy. It has lots and lots of energy, but also it is all your desires, aggressive impulses, all that pleasure seeking, and it does not understand moral values. It only understands I need this. It works on the pleasure principle. For example, if a child wants an ice cream, he can just go around, grab and have an ice cream if he functions only at the id level. So id is very strongly, it is primarily at an unconscious level. Id, all your needs and desires, mostly they are at an unconscious level. Now next comes is the term ego. Now this ego is not the commonly used term ego that we use. Okay, the person is very strong in his ego. No, that is not ego. I'll explain ego better once you understand what is superego. Now superego is those moral values, those ethics, those parental authorities which tells you this is not acceptable. Suppose when the boy tries to go and grab the ice cream, what will come from inside? What would a mother say? No, that is not acceptable. So superego is basically all that is telling you no, don't do it. This is not correct. See, in the formative years your parents tell you to do things or not to do things. Later what happens? Later it is the internalization of these values by your parents that tells you that you are not supposed to do this. Okay, right. Now we move on to ego. See, id was all the pleasures and desires. Superego was all the no, don't do's. Ego is the reality principle or the balancing mechanism. It tells you how to go about. So ego will tell you, okay, finish your work, show your mama the good handwriting, and she might just reward you with the ice cream. So id is this aspect of personality which says I want, ego says no, the superego says no, then ego tells you, okay, I will tell you how to go about it. Now we must all understand it is entirely unconscious. Superego works at all 3 levels: unconscious, preconscious and conscious. And ego is also the balancing mechanism which is at 3 levels, that is unconscious, preconscious and conscious. Okay, I hope you are clear with these 3. Let me also tell you one very interesting thing. Freud talked about 2 instincts. One is called the libido or the energy instinct, and he says life surrounds under this. For him, we can be very productive if we channelize our libido into something nice. Like all the poets, all those people who write beautiful, they are using their life energy to create something. And there is also another instinct, which is the death instinct. We are not going in detail of that. That is the all the negative thing that comes to your mind, that talks about that, but we are not going there. We are focusing on the channelizing of the libido to create something productive and interesting. I hope you are clear with this aspect of the two major things given by Freud. Now, rest of the things I will tell you in the next session what Freud has spoken about. Thank you.